Help for the cheating, sister. My ex-wife was a lying, cheating, gold-digging cheater. Some might say that this statement lacks nuance, that people are complex. They have desires, dreams, histories, motivations, loves, and hates. There are reasons why people do this and that, and to reduce them to a short phrase is, by and large, a simplification. And it's all true. Kim was as complex as you or I, with her own wants and needs, with a history that defined who she was and who she wanted to be. But that doesn't change the fact that she was a lying, cheating gold digger. When we met in college, I had no real reason to be suspicious other than the fact that she belonged to a certain sorority, sisterhood, and that sorority was well known as a popular option for women like Kim that wanted to specialize in finding a rich husband with little early childhood education. It wasn't a deciding factor for me. My mom was a homemaker while my dad built a business, so I was perfectly fine if my spouse wanted to do the same. And let's be honest, I was in a fraternity too. Sure, I was only in the fraternity because I was an heir, and my membership was one of several conditions that my father imposed to pay for me to go to college. But still, at least in a limited form, I participated in the debauchery expected of a fraternity member, and I was far from a virgin when Kim and I started dating. I'm not a hypocrite, so her past is not an issue for me. To some extent, I accepted that she wanted to marry me because of the stability I could provide, even though I majored in computer science and not business like my father and most of my fraternity colleagues. That didn't make her a gold digger in my eyes. And yes, she slept with other guys, but as long as she was faithful to me, so what? Even if she was once a lightweight, she stopped being one when we became exclusive. If you've noticed, like I make a lot of excuses for why I married her, there's a reason for that. Those excuses I made up for myself when I talked myself into starting a serious relationship with Kim. Or, more specifically, when our friends and family tried to convince me that we would be good together, even as the little voice in my head asked, "Really? Her? She's cute and all, but..." When I went home with her for Thanksgiving after we had already dated for a semester, I almost listened to that voice and left. But that's when I met her sister, Cassandra. Kim was in many ways the platonic ideal of a sorority girl. Blonde, big breasts, perfect makeup, well-dressed, and undeniably sexy, in a girl-next-door kind of way. Former cheerleader, smart enough but tries not to make the guy feel threatened because of it. And even when she has voiced criticism, it's always said as diplomatically as possible. Her sister is completely different. Wednesday Addams, grown up and twice as sarcastic. She had shoulder-length black hair, dressed masculine, piercings and tattoos, clearly more intelligent than her interlocutor. She treated me with contempt, but I didn't take it personally. She treated everyone with contempt, including her mother and sister. Their father had left them years ago, and Cass had gone with him. Now was the last of the court-ordered vacation she was obligated to spend with her mother. After dinner, she was standing outside smoking a clove-scented cigarette when I decided to get some fresh air. She looked at me with the kind of interest one might look at an interesting bug. "Ken." Jason, actually." She rolled her eyes. "My sister is Malibu Barbie, which means you're her latest Ken, or maybe not. You seem a little smarter, and..." She blew smoke and walked away from the porch. "Maybe prettier than the previous models." Thanks," she shrugged. "Never mind. Look, you haven't hit on me yet, which puts you ahead of the other plastic bastards she's brought home, so I'll give you a little advice. She's a cheater. Cheats on every fucking guy she's ever been with. Fair warning." Then, without another word, she tossed her cigarette into the yard and wandered back. Kim and I talked later, and she immediately and completely admitted her guilt. Yes, she was a cheater. Cheated on her boyfriends, but Cassandra hadn't been around her in years, and she was mad at Kim for taking her mother's side in the divorce. She's changed since then, changed a lot, and the breakdown of her parents' marriage and the loss of her sister was a big catalyst for that. At least that's what she told me. Yes, I had ignored Cassandra's warnings. Yes, my marriage turned out to be a disaster. Yes, I recognize the irony. But the thing is, by the time we were married, even Cassandra believed Kim. Cass was 2 years younger than her sister, but, as I said, much smarter. High school advanced placement courses, testing with no prerequisites, and a workload that would crush a normal person meant she didn't graduate until a semester after we did. My fraternity connections allowed me to find a decent job at a security firm, And Cassandra, thanks to my connections, found a job there as an accountant. The three of us spent a decent amount of time together, and when the wedding came, Cass was smiling, and so was I. They were reunited with Kim. Kim seemed reformed and loving, the blushing bride I thought I wanted, and I had a new friend at work with whom I could be nerdy at lunch. Thanks to a trust my mom had set up for me before she died, I had a modest house and a small stipend. All of this, along with my paycheck, allowed Kim to be a homemaker before we even had kids, which meant that most evenings I was greeted with a clean house, delicious food, and a sexy wife in lingerie. Life seemed wonderful. Then it all went wrong. Kim got weird. After 6 months, she suddenly really wanted to have kids. I wanted kids myself, but we both agreed to leave it for a few years so we could be newlyweds for a while. Her eagerness to start immediately was strange, as if she had been stricken with a sudden onset of child fever. I held firm, and she gave in, or so it seemed to me. But then I found out that she hadn't been refilling her birth control pills. We had a fight about it, and I insisted on using protection that cooled our bedroom for a week or so. The protection still pissed her off, but eventually she calmed down. But something wasn't right. Kim was acting completely different from before. She had never, as far as I knew, lied to me about anything, and certainly not on an issue as important as birth control. The little voice started whispering quietly again, and I began to think I had made a mistake marrying her. She also started partying more, a lot more, and would go by herself if I couldn't go. This coincided with a period when I had a busy schedule at work, so I wasn't too concerned at first. I didn't want her to be bored or resentful, and I knew she had an active social life both before and after we got together. She was still affectionate with me and invited me along, so I wasn't worried that something untoward was going on. But one day I was having lunch with Cassandra. She was on a business trip, first for a training session and then for a client exit audit, and we hadn't been able to socialize since Kim went off the rails. She could see that I was anxious. As I recounted the events of the previous few weeks, her expression grew darker and darker. Finally, she sighed. "Ah, shit." "What?" Cass pinched the bridge of her nose, shifting her glasses briefly. "My mother. She's acting like my mother." Seeing the confusion on my face, she continued. "Kim always wanted to be like my mom, for some fucking reason I could never understand. Mom basically had nothing to offer the world except being pretty and a good cook, and she was so worried about Dad leaving that she got pregnant right away. Then, when he had a delay with it, she cheated on him. Or the other way around, maybe she cheated on Daddy and got pregnant and then convinced him that Kim was his. I'd wondered before if she was really my sister, and I think Dad had too, but he never wanted to know, you know?" I nodded unhappily. "So do you think she's trying to get knocked up to keep me around?" "Yeah. And maybe, hell, I hate to say it because I really thought she'd changed. Maybe she's cheating on you because you're not giving her what she wants. Then she'll make a gaffe with the protection, or maybe rip it off so it rips or something." My appetite gone, I shoved my food away. "Well, there you go. So you think she's just following Mom's script?" She shrugged. "Maybe. I mean, maybe not. Maybe she just wants to have a baby with you. She does seem to really love you. I've never seen her act like that with anyone else, the way she cares for you. And maybe her going to parties is just a couple's issue. I hope that's the case. But, I don't know. Sabotaging pills? And going to parties alone like she's still a single college girl? But she invites me along." The look on Cassandra's face was the definition of dubious. "Yes, but she also knows you're required to work." My cell phone beeped. Hold on. It's her and, yeah, she's going to a party tonight. Invited me along." Cass leaned forward to take a look. "Ask her where she'll be." We waited a bit, and Kim answered with the address. Then, "You won't be able to go, will you?" We both considered this for a moment before I spoke. "Kim, that sound like she's hoping I can't come?" My sister-in-law scratched the back of her neck, involuntarily opening her collar slightly to show a hint of tattoos under her shirt. "Maybe. I don't know, I'm not sure. This is why I hate texting. I'm sure Cass would have a landline with a disc dialer if she could justify it. She loves such archaic things. Can't you skip work tonight? Not go on overtime? I wondered for a moment. Maybe, but going to a party with her wouldn't tell me anything. Yeah, but if you go to the party when she thinks you won't be there, it might. And so I texted Kim that I was still working overtime. It was both true and deceitful at the same time. I was still working, but I was also going to sneak out of work a little early and make up for it by coming in early the next day. That was the plan, anyway. But then I went to the party. The party was raucous, like everything Kim was doing when I found her. She'd gone upstairs with a guy who could be a carbon copy of me. I knew she had a type, and the dude poking into my cheating wife's body matched it perfectly. I pulled out my phone, took a few pictures and a short video, and after that, nothing. Some part of me felt like I should try to beat the guy up or yell at Kim or even cry and throw up, but I felt almost nothing. I wasn't even stunned or shocked. Felt annoyed, some frustration, but none of those extreme reactions you hear about. No rage, no depression, not even nausea. Just a little sadness. And then it hit me. I don't think I ever loved Kim. I cared for her, was deeply, deeply in love with her, but love? No. I married her for many reasons, but they were all downright stupid, and I didn't realize it until later. She is traditionally beautiful, seemed like she would make a great wife, is good in bed, and catches my every word. She's exactly the kind of wife college frat boys should be looking for. A beautiful, reasonably intelligent future mother who can be replaced when she gets a little old. And she's totally wrong for me. My father used to say she was perfect. My brothers, both siblings and biological brothers, told me she was perfect. Her sorority sisters and her mother told me we'd be perfect together, and Kim did everything she could to convince me of that. But she wasn't, and I realized for the first time how much I had intentionally silenced the voice in my head that said, "This is not the life or woman you want. I'm a nerd, trim, athletic, but still a nerd. I've always been one, and I've been happy about it. I wanted to study history and teach for God's sake, but I took the easy way out. Didn't argue with my father to get a chance to pay for college. Then I joined his fraternity, which I didn't want to do. I never liked fraternities, either conceptually or the typical members. I chose computer science over business like my father wanted, but that was another compromise that made me closer to who he wanted me to be than who I was. And then I married someone who was in the category of his trophy wives, someone he would be happy with instead of me, because I surrounded myself with people who thought like him instead of me. I got lost in college instead of finding myself. And not trying to belittle my father, but he is not me, and I am not him. I respect and love him, but I don't want to be him. I'm much more like my mom, but I've always thought that maybe my dad regretted marrying her and later decided to make things right. I guess I had become like him after all. I felt disgusted, but not so much by Kim's cheating, but by my lack of spine. What the hell had I allowed myself to become? The fact that I was saddened and angered by this more than her infidelity told me all I needed to know. I didn't cause a scandal at the party. It just wasn't important enough to worry about. I texted her that we were getting divorced, with pictures, and not to come home, and that I would arrange for her to be able to get her stuff. Then I went home, moved her things into the guest bedroom, because I was pretty sure she would ignore the instruction not to come home, and locked the door to my room, then fell into a restful sleep pretty quickly. For the first time in a long time, I felt like I was moving through life in the right direction. This went on for a couple hours before Kim started banging on my bedroom door, begging to be let in, crying, begging me to give her another chance. I just told her to get some sleep, and we'd talk in the morning. Pretty sure she laid down next to my bedroom door in the hallway and fell asleep there. The next morning, I sat her down at the kitchen table and we talked. "We're getting a divorce, Kim. It's going to happen, no matter what." Her eyes were red and puffy. "No, I'm sorry, Jason. I'm so sorry, but we're going to make it work. I'll do anything to make it work." I shook my head. "That's not true. Your cheating made me realize that there's a problem, but the reason we're divorcing isn't the cheating. We shouldn't have gotten married, Kim. I don't love you." Kim looked at me with a sad, sympathetic expression on her face. "Oh, Jace, I'm so sorry. I hurt you so badly, honey, but you don't have to lie. I know you love me, and I love you. We'll get through this, baby. No, Kim. No, I'm being honest. It's not about you cheating. It's about me not wanting to be married to you. I'm sorry, but it's true. Like she was talking to a particularly cranky child, she said, Baby, I know you're hurting, but no, Kim, I'm not in pain, and that's part of the problem. I just want you to leave. She crossed her arms defiantly. Well, I'm not leaving. We can't get through this if we're not together. I'm your wife, and I'm staying. We're going to make this marriage strong, Jason. So that's why I got a restraining order against my wife. Or at the very least, the trust got a restraining order against her to keep her out of my house. The trust's house. Whatever. She moved her stuff out a few days later when I wasn't there, but a deputy sheriff was. I couldn't get a restraining order against her because she wasn't threatening me, and the judge didn't think she was a danger to me. That was pretty accurate. Kim wasn't a physical threat to me, but just her never. She gave up. She was like the Terminator in a chick flick. She lived with her sorority sister and had nothing but free time. Within days, she was banned from my work, then from the parking lot outside my work, then my favorite coffee shop, my gym, the local game store. I kept thinking of the line from Pulp Fiction that if I went to Indochina, Kim would jump out of her rice bowl to beg me to take her back. The texts and calls were endless until I blocked her. There was no anger in any of them, just pleading, even after the restraining order. When I tried to service her at her friend's house, she ran out the back door. It took 4 attempts before the papers finally fell into her hands. Then the calls from other numbers started. I don't know how she knew about the IP address and phone number spoofing, but it wasn't easy, whether it was an unwanted call, a message about my car warranty expiring, or my wife insisting that we just needed to sit down and work things out. She was relentless. I had lunch with Cass and asked her for suggestions, understanding, advice, anything to get her sister to just accept the divorce and walk away. I don't get it. She's never done anything like this before. I laughed wickedly. Oh, that's great. I'm sorry, man, I have no idea. Cass paused, then said slowly, Well, wait, I actually have a couple ideas. Outline them. She took a sip of coffee. The first is that she loves you, really loves you, and just won't give up on you because of it. She's not used to hearing no from guys. I remember some of them trying to stay with her even after she cheated. I don't think she's ever been at a stage where she's not ready to end a relationship. So, yeah, it's possible that she just can't give up on you. It's possible. Well, I mean, you do. She paused and cleared her throat, then took another sip. I would have believed it. She's never been in a long-term relationship like this, and maybe she just can't tell herself to quit, or maybe she's head over heels in love with you. In love? Her tongue clicked against her teeth as she thought about it. Do you have a prenup with her? Yes. The details are a little complicated because of the trust, but at this point, I think she'll get a few thousand. A little spousal support? Less due to the fact that she cheated. Yeah, there could definitely be something there. I'll have to take a look at it to make sure. Do you have a copy of it? Obviously not with me. In the house, I suppose. Cass smiled. Well, I guess you'll make me dinner then. Cassandra showed up at 6, still dressed in her corporate goth outfit. Mostly black with a white shirt, but something understated enough to make it to the office. Her makeup was just as understated, for her at least. And her long black hair was tied back in a ponytail so it wouldn't get in the way. I'd made dinner only in the sense that I'd called the Chinese kitchen and set everything up. She poured the wine and we talked over the meal. This afternoon I was talking to Kim. She shook the wine in her glass. It didn't sound like she was going to give up. I asked her why she cheated, and I took it to mean that she kind of shared it. It was a bad thing, but she is very sorry, she said, and is willing to do anything to get you back. She, of course, asked me to talk to you about it. I told her that we had talked about the divorce, but I kind of skirted around the fact that I wasn't trying to bring you back into the family. I grinned, but that raised a question in my mind. Why? Why haven't you tried? She's your sister. Cass took a big sip of wine. Because you deserve better, Jason, and not just because of the cheating. Honestly, I don't know what the hell you even see in her. That's fair, I guess. Don't get me wrong, I'm sure she's... I was about to say that she would have been a good wife to someone, but she cheated on me. Then I almost said she had some good qualities. But other than being sexy, outgoing, and fun in bed, I had a hard time listing them. Cassandra laughed, watching my mouth open and close. Yeah, that's my opinion. She looked down at her glass. I don't like saying that. There was a time. Honestly, I loved her. I still do. Kind of. She's my sister, you know? But when she left with my mom after the divorce, I lost a lot of respect for her when she did, and then it plummeted when I saw her treating guys the same way Mom did. It's like she just wants to be a little semblance of Mom. And I look at what Mom did to Dad, and what Kim tried to do to you, and I just lose my temper. You're both good, and neither of you deserve to be cheated on like that. I'm just glad you were able to get out before she really got her hooks into you. I smiled warmly at her. Thank you, Cass. That means a lot. I feel like a real ass for letting her get this far, but I don't know. She shouldn't have cheated on me, but we shouldn't have been together to begin with. Her voice was kind as she reassured me. It's just the way she is. And so is Mom, according to Dad. She has a knack for making a guy think he's the center of her world. She set down her wine glass and watched me carefully. Let's see if this doesn't sound familiar. You mentioned something you liked when you were dating, and she didn't seem to know much about it, but listened quietly as you talked. And then, after a couple weeks, she could have an intelligent but superficial conversation about it. And she did it again and again, right? With a slow nod, I agreed. Yeah. But, I do that too. Trying to find out about what a friend likes if I don't know anything about it yet. Yeah, but why do you do that? Because that's what they care about and you care about them, right? You want to learn about what they like because they like it and you want to understand them better. And maybe you'll learn enough about it to realize that you like it too. She shook her head. When we were younger, Kim used to do it because she wanted to get a guy's attention. I never once saw her actually care about something she'd been studying longer than was necessary to convince a guy that she was showing interest in it. As far as I could tell, it was never sincere. I'd hoped she'd changed, but apparently not. As we ate, I thought back to my relationship with Kim and definitely saw something that in retrospect should have been disturbing. It would have been if I hadn't listened to the people around me. Sure, I was listening to Cass now, but she never presented herself as anything other than what she was. At least I didn't think so. I thought Cassandra might have a crush on me, and I kept that in mind as I thought back to the times we'd interacted, but it was never the main reason for her attitude towards me or talking to me. She could be sarcastic or sweet, aloof or friendly, but I never felt like she was directing me for her own purposes. Even when things were at their best with Kim and me, I felt like she was hiding something. I didn't think she was hiding something serious at the time, but the feeling was always there. Many of the other girls in her sorority were like that too, and frat guys just put up with it for various reasons, most of which had to do with naked sorority girls. I went along with it so I wouldn't stand out, but I didn't do that anymore. I needed to trust my own judgment again, and that had to start with Cass. I trusted her, too. After dinner, we sat down for the prenup, and she made little and ha sounds as she read. Finally, she made a little triumphant sound. Alimony! You think she's trying to get alimony from me? Yes. Well, if she's conniving, rather than just trying to get back with you, that could be the reason for the sudden craving for kids. She pointed to a bunch of different clauses. There are clauses about spousal support, about trust issues, about infidelity, a bunch of stuff, but there's nothing about alimony. I'm not a lawyer, but even with infidelity, I'm willing to bet she could claim to be the primary caregiver and get a pretty big chunk from you. And that doesn't go away if she remarries. She smiled at me. And you're a decent guy. I think if you hadn't caught her cheating, you would have given the mother of your child a little more leeway if she later decided she wanted a no-fault divorce. I sighed. I swear to God, I just want to get this shit over with. Chin up, Jason. She can stall for quite a while. That was true, but quite a while was a lot longer than I'd anticipated. She made appointments and didn't show up, insisted on counseling and then hesitated to go to counseling. The judge we were assigned to was pro-conciliation, so she gave Kim an indulgence. At first, I didn't understand where she was getting the money for a lawyer, but Cass suggested that maybe she was giving something in exchange for his services. Kim, on top of that, continued to escalate the harassment. First, she brought in other people. Our friends wrote to me and stopped by to visit. Her family, too. Even sisters in Kim's sorority got involved, and some of them even suggested that if I went back to her, they would be happy to help me get even with her, with Kim's approval. And my fraternity brothers, albeit a few, came unannounced. Most were on her side, but a few let me know that she was trying to seduce them into trying to get me back. Apparently, there was still some brotherly solidarity there. I changed phone numbers and only gave the new number to trusted people, so that helped a little. But there were still face-to-face meetings. I knew it was just a matter of biding my time, but I was so damn disgusted to hear her name I wanted to scream. Throughout all of this, I had a few loyal companions, a few people from high school and college, my brothers, my dad, and Cass. It would have been easy for her to side with Kim, or even just step aside, but instead our friendship grew more and more in the months following my divorce. She understood my frustration. I think in some ways her frustration was even greater than mine, since she was her sister. I'd be lying if I said I didn't start having feelings for Cassandra. She was sarcastic as hell, and I was often the object of her wit. But it never seemed mean-spirited. I started going to her house to escape Kim's students constantly knocking on my door and asking if I'd heard kind words about reconciliation. Cass was a model of contrast. She was true blue, or black, I suppose, goth, but she had some pretty old-fashioned ideas about fidelity and propriety. During a long, drunken conversation on the subject, I learned that she was only interested in long-term relationships. She had 2 boyfriends and a disastrous one-night stand with them that convinced her they weren't for her. As she put it right before she passed out, "I'm lecherous as hell, but I'm not a cheater. Though I have nothing against such, because some of my best friends are cheaters." She dragged me to clubs sometimes, trying to get me out of the house and out of my head, and I saw her in everything from Victorian outfits to tight faux leather. But she rarely exposed her skin. The most immodest thing I'd ever seen her wear was a one-piece swimsuit when we were swimming at a late-night pool party. She had many tattoos, all of her own design, covering her arms completely and on her thighs. They were beautiful, intricate works of art that I loved to look at. Her torso was also covered in ink, but I had never seen it. When I asked about the artwork, she was a little shy. I don't want to be a famous artist or anything. I just want to be creative and make a living as an accountant so I don't starve. And some of my work, well, I don't mind people seeing it. It's what's on my hands or feet or hanging on the walls. But others, she smiled embarrassedly. I don't want to share them with just anyone. They're for people who, I want to get to know me truly, the whole me. Then she laughed. Well, and my tattoo artist. There's no avoiding that, is there? Being with her, I was enjoying my life again, really enjoying it in a way I hadn't in a long time. She was doing in college what I should have been doing, exploring who she was and who she wanted to be, trying on different things and discarding them if they didn't work until she was stable. I envied that, even if it resulted in her racking up a pretty substantial amount of student loan debt. We were sitting on her couch one night watching a movie when I realized we weren't just sitting together or even close to each other, we were cuddling. I don't know how it happened, but she was leaning against me, her head resting on my chest, and I was hugging her, and I felt really, truly, completely content for the first time since this whole thing started. For a moment I tensed up, fearing I was making a mistake. I didn't want to get into some sort of adventure with Cass. I genuinely liked her. I might have even fallen in love with her. But I was still a little doubtful about who I really was and who I wanted to be, and I didn't want to ruin anything, including our friendship. She snuggled up to me, hugging me tightly and patting my leg as if she understood what I was thinking and tried to reassure me, telling me without words that everything would be the way it was, and we'd be fine either way. I laid back down again, kissed her affectionately on the top of her head, and we ended up falling asleep there together. It was the best sleep I'd had in the last 6 months, even if my neck was sore in the morning. Things were pretty quiet between us for the next week. Our lunches were still nice, and we were still just as friendly. But I think she was waiting for me to make a real move. And then, finally, my divorce took place. All the delaying tactics Kim tried couldn't completely slow down the inexorable, crushing progress of the court system. I had the paper in my hand that said I was free, and I wanted to celebrate. The opportunity presented itself the very next weekend. A friend from college invited me to a party. I was worried at first, but neither he nor his girlfriend were involved in the crusade for Kim, so I gently told him I was going and asked if I could bring anyone else. "So is this a date?" Cass's mouth dropped open when I asked her that. I took a deep breath and said, "Yes, if you want to. I don't want to pressure you or ruin things between us or, Her arms wrapped around my neck and her lips nestled against mine in a sweet, long, close kiss. "Pick me up at 8? Cassandra was ready on time, wearing a blood-red necklace, a black mini dress, a biker jacket, and a pair of heavy boots with enough buckles, studs, and zippers to make a monk from the monastery proud. Her black hair was loose down her back, and she completed the look with red lipstick and cat-eye mascara, accented with the Eye of Horus. After greeting me, she lightly pecked my cheek, and we headed out. The party was more than I expected, and so was the house. It took me a little while to find my friend, who laughed when I told him the divorce had finally gone through and exclaimed, "Welcome back to the land of the living." I introduced him to Cassandra, defaulting to how we met, and we walked with her through the entire party. Cass was out of place. Dancing at a club where you've become friends is one thing, but a party full of strangers is quite another, especially when you don't fit in with the aesthetic or characters. I still fit the aesthetic, but I realized how little I had in common with most of these people, so I could sympathize with them. We found a quiet corner and decided to leave early. She went to the restroom, and I went around the room and said my goodbyes. And that's when I ran into Kim. I had forgotten that at college parties it didn't matter who was invited and who wasn't, and my friend was still in that college mentality. He invited me because he wanted to make sure I came, but I didn't realize that the guest list wasn't exclusive, but inclusive. Anyone who heard about it could come and did. "Jason!" She hugged me before I could stop her. "It's good to see that you're okay. I'm really sorry about everything. Even the way I acted after—" She bit her lip. "I know it wasn't fair. I should have given you your freedom, but I just loved you and missed you so much. I should have been more mature and realized that you needed your freedom." Thanks. I'm glad you're doing well, too." She smiled sadly. "No, not really. But I know." Kim sighed. "I know this is what we have to do. Please go and find someone to put everything out of your mind. I'll stay faithful while we're apart and go to therapy. Next time, I'll be exactly what you need." "What?" Kim sobbed. "It's going to hurt, but I know we'll be together again. I'll check on you from time to time and see when you're ready to be together again." I dodged a kiss on the cheek and she waved goodbye, disappearing into the crowd. What the hell? Cass found me standing in the same spot in shock. She led me outside to a pair of chaise lounges, and I told her about meeting her sister, her eyes growing wider with each phrase. "What kind of stranger is that?" I nodded. "She's going to keep coming back if I don't put an end to this right now. I need her out of my life once and for all, and divorce obviously isn't enough." She nodded slowly. "Okay, good." A determined expression appeared on her face as she turned fully toward me. "I know what we have to do. Jason, do you trust me?" "Yes, absolutely." Cass smiled and touched my cheek, then kissed me gently. Are we going to be something special? An actual, real, trying to be a lasting thing? Is that what you want us to be?" I kissed her back, and she giggled. "Okay, let's go then." She pulled me back into the house, up the stairs, and found an empty bedroom. "I'll be right back." I opened my mouth to ask a question, but she just kissed me again and then left the room, and that adorable giggle was the only sound she made. I waited for about 10 minutes before I was ready to go looking for her, but I told her I trusted her. 5 minutes after that, she came into the room, happy and excited. She pulled off her jacket, exposing her ink-covered, well-shaped hands. "Okay, we have about 15 minutes. Get undressed." "Wait, what?" Her hands were on the back of her necklace, working on the clasp. "In a little while, Kim is going to walk through that door. I told her I came with you, and that you said you wanted to talk to her about the two of you. work things out with her. And that's true, just not in the way she thinks. I stood there while I took off my necklace and she continued. So I think the best way to show her that it's over is to really actually show her that you've moved on. When she opens the door, you'll be deep into your new girlfriend. She reached for the hem of her mini dress. That was one of the best ideas I'd ever heard. No, that was one of the worst ideas I've ever heard. No. My voice was clear and commanding. She paused. No, we're not doing that. I took a few steps toward her and held her hands. But I thought you wanted to... She looked both hesitant and relieved. I do. God, I do. But not like this. Our first time together. It should be for us. You and me, not her. She doesn't matter to me anymore, not at all. Not even as a nuisance. I'll deal with it. But I don't... I kissed her, pulling her to me and hugging her tightly. I'm not going to ruin this. It's good. We're good together. And I want to keep it that way. We sat on the bed together, hugging and kissing for a while before she pulled away. I just wanted to... I care about you so much, and I just wanted her out of our lives. I love you too. Her smile could have illuminated the surface of the moon. But a devilish grin spread across my lips. I want to see you, all of you, when it's just us. I want to be the last person to see you naked. I grinned. Well, except for your tattoo artist. There's no avoiding that, is there? Cassandra snorted. That's something special, something you keep to yourself. Keep as an intimate thing only for yourself and those you love. And I want to honor it, not dishonor it or you, by asking you. Her voice was insistent and a little angry. You didn't ask. I would have done it for you, for us. My hand brushed a strand of hair away from her face. I know what you do, Cass, and I like it, but I want to tell you that it's not what I want. Then, grinning happily, she pulled me onto the bed and we kissed, taking short breaks to discuss a new plan until we heard a knock on the door. Our hair was disheveled, Cassandra's lipstick was smeared, and I'm sure some of it was left on my face. Her beautiful, almost transparently pale skin was flushed, and I couldn't wait to see how far that blush extended down her neck and beyond. But that would have to wait. We sat down, and I called out, "Come in." The door swung open, and about a dozen emotions flashed across Kim's face in an instant, finally settling on some angry confusion. What? Why? I took Cass's hand in mine. I'm sorry, Kim. I wanted to tell you differently, but now is as good a time as any. Cassandra and I brought her hand to my mouth and kissed it. We're in love. We didn't plan to act so quickly, but the truth is we're engaged. I haven't had time to pick out a ring for her yet, but I know you have good taste. Maybe you can suggest something. What? Shaking my head, I said, I'm sorry. I know it's a lot to ask, but we need to get married as soon as possible. You see, Cass is pregnant. You're going to be an aunt. My ex-wife froze. Her face went blank, as if she had a complete system reboot. Then she screamed, You Dura! I swear to God I thought at those words. Her jaw dropped open like a snake's. She lunged forward, clearly intending to physically harm one or both of us. I stepped between her and Cass, grabbing her arm as she tried to run her claws across my face. Get out of my life, Kim! Cass looked out from behind me. Yeah, sorry, sis, but he's my meal ticket now. Kim's eyes darted back and forth between us, and she screamed, 4 years. 4 years I've been with this fucking loser, stupid. I spent hours listening to him talk about those stupid movies. You know how much shit I had to read about the 100 Years' War? Who has a war that lasts 100 years? Cass smirked. England and France. I was never a history buff, but my man got me hooked on it. It's interesting. I can't wait for him to teach it to our kids. That's it. Finally, I saw it in the eyes of the beast. She was exposed and defeated. I let go of her hand and she recoiled from me. Goddamn assholes, you deserve each other. Then she sprinted out of the bedroom, slamming the door behind her. Cass and I burst into laughter. Later, back at my house, we sat and cuddled on the couch. satisfied with our final and complete victory in the war with Kim. Cassandra giggled. So how do you think she'll react when she realizes we're not engaged and not expecting a baby? Oh, I suspect not well. But I don't really care. I'm more concerned that I kissed the top of her head. Everyone in her family, almost everyone, seemed to be on her side. Most of my former friends were too, but I don't care about them. I don't want to be the cause of what... Cass quickly interrupted. I don't care about the family that sided with Kim. My father doesn't, his family doesn't, a couple of my more sensible cousins don't, and everyone who did is either as bad as she is or too stupid to deal with. And yet... No, not still. I love you, Jason. She doesn't, and I don't think she ever has. She's just very good at faking it. And if my family or our friends have a problem with me loving you the way you deserve to be loved, screw them. We don't need them in our lives. I have what I need right here, right now, and I don't care about them. She stood up and held out her hand to me. Now let's go. In the bedroom, she pushed me into a chair, a wild light dancing in her eyes as her slender body danced for me. It was tantalizing and seductive, the slow sway of her hips, the gentle touch of my hands on her thighs as she rubbed the hem of her mini dress. For months now, I've wanted to do this. Her jacket had been tossed to the floor, and now her dress was thrown over her head and joined it. I gawked at the splendor that opened before me. She hadn't put on any panties, so she was wearing only her necklace and glasses. Her small figure was completely exposed to me. Beautiful, pale skin. Cassandra's smirk slowly disappeared, her bravado replaced by an insecurity that hurt me. She opened her mouth to speak, but I intervened in the silence, saying, You're the most beautiful thing I've ever seen, Cass. I stood up and kissed her, and her body nestled against mine. The kiss wasn't gentle. My tongue penetrated deep into her mouth, and she engulfed me. My hands grabbed her ass and lifted her up, carrying her to the bed and almost throwing her on top of it. I felt rather than heard a single solitary sob as she loosened her grip on my back, exhausted for the moment. Cass? I propped myself up on my elbows, worried I'd hurt her. Really hurt her. The blissful look on her face told me that nothing could be further from the truth. She giggled, Yours. Another giggle. Yes, yours. Those sweet lips kissed mine as she mustered the strength to pull herself up, then fell back onto the bed. Damn it, Jace. God damn it. Cass looked at me with concern. I flipped her over onto her stomach, eliciting a sudden mischievous laugh, and then giggled in her ear. Just wanted to go easy on you at first, didn't I? My gorgeous goth babe groaned. Oh, God, don't tell me that's what easy was. You're going to kill me, lover. She was still too weak to stand on her hands and knees, but that was okay. I pulled her up on my knees anyway, leaving her face pressed against the mattress. After that, we lay together, panting and panting, on the half-empty mattress. Her long hair tickled my nose, but I pushed it aside and kissed her neck, and she snuggled back against me. I love you, Cass. Love you so much, baby. She sighed with contentment, basking quietly in the haze. Me too, Jace. God, you taste so damn good. Her head turned slightly, and I lifted myself up on one arm to give her a long, loving kiss before lying back down again. We were silent for a while. I was immersed in my own thoughts, and I'm sure she was too, but we were also just enjoying each other's company and bodies, and exulting in the pleasant, quiet joy of our first embrace after lovemaking. Then I felt her body tense up slightly. Cass? Her hand pulled my arm, wrapping itself a little tighter. Just thinking. About what? About a bunch of shit, she snorted. First of all, how happy I was. This is so much more, well, just much, much more than I ever expected. You know, for a long time I had a bit of a crush on you. I wasn't like in love or anything, but I always thought you were sweet and nice and just wasted on her. And then when we became friends, that crush grew a little stronger. And then you kicked her out. A slight chuckle. I tried not to look at it as a possibility, because I wanted to be a good friend, but... She patted my thigh. See how that ended up working out? I fell in love with you at some point. and I'm so glad it's mutual. And honestly, I felt so loved when you told me you wouldn't let me do what I wanted to do at the party, and why. I felt like I was actually, really seen, probably for the first time. When I realized that you understood how important, she shook her head. God, I love you so much. I hugged her tightly. But then it made me think of Kim, and I felt sad. Sad for her, for what a fucking wreck she is, about what she did to you, how, as much as I love it, the fact that we're together, I hate what she did to you, I hate it. Cass was silent for a moment, then spoke quietly. Technically, you're everything she should want. A hot, sweet guy who can make love like no one else and still provide for his wife and family. You're a jackpot. And don't you dare make any more lottery jokes, and still it wasn't enough for her. Nothing will ever be enough for her. She'll never be happy. And now she's a fool. But she's my sister. I loved her so much, and she sighed. I wish things had been different for her, and it made me wish things were different for us. I wish I'd met you before she did. I chewed on my lips for a moment, then said slowly, I don't think we would have gotten anywhere if you had. A light kiss on the back of her neck calmed her barely there protest. I wasn't in a state where I could afford to love you. I think you would have disliked me. The last few months have told me a lot about myself and who I was, and I don't really like the old me. I regret marrying Kim, for a lot of reasons. But I think maybe I needed to figure out who I didn't want to be before I could figure out who I did want to be, you know? Another tender kiss. And now we're here together. No matter how we got here, no matter how fucked up it was, I wouldn't want to change a thing. She pressed herself against me and I hugged her. We snuggled against each other for a few more minutes, but then I felt myself getting turned on by her, and we were silent for a long time after that. Cass may have favored a good hard lovemaking, but I learned that she also loved slow, languid lovemaking. I pressed myself against her from behind and slowly took my mistress again, my hands cupping those small breasts and playing with her jewelry while she pushed herself against me, taking me into her welcoming zone again and again. Over the years, the empty spaces on her belly and breasts, the intimate places she showed only to me, were filled. Above her heart appeared our initials and our wedding date. Other places were filled with the names of our children. As she aged and gave birth to my sons and daughter, her body changed, adding texture and wrinkles to the painting, creating it anew. I watched the tapestry of our life together take shape on her skin. When she sleeps, I gaze in wonder at her beauty, both the painting on her and just her. And sometimes she wakes up when I look at her and invites me into her arms, and we renew the love that began to form when we were still children, stumbling through the darkness on our way to ourselves. The end.